Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is the Friday free-for-all, and it has been a very, very difficult and rough week, has it not? Woo! I tell you what, we're going to get into it, folks. We're going to get into it. I've got a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to explain. It's coming to a head. Everything is coming to a head. Tucker Carlson has now decided to reveal who runs the world. He has now identified the satanic group that is running Washington, the banking and finance systems, and this cabal, this cult that approves of pedophilia and is openly declaring how they're going to take over the world. They've been talked about on the news a little bit, always in glowing terms. You'll see them from time to time in the media, accompanying important people, accompanying even the President of the United States, as well as, the Vice President and other members of the cabinet. Everyone has a handler. Well, this cult is called Chabad-Lubavitch. It is the Jewish Zionist cult that has claimed superiority over God now, folks. This is why they feel they can do whatever they want because, well, they've defeated God. They claim they have superiority over God, and they also claim that our souls, regular humans, are goyim, and we're lowly animal souls, not as good as them. That's why you can't say we're all the same. We all have equal rights. No, not to these people. And I've known about them for a long, long time. But every day, as more evil is exposed, as more evil is visited upon us and the rest of the world, as the lies get out of hand, as the treachery and treason is exposed and is worse and worse, I feel less inclined to hide what I know, and I feel less inclined to not say aloud what needs to be said aloud. And God save our nation and the world from them. I mean, I don't have to make things up. Their blasphemy, their megalomania is of literal biblical proportions. It is the cult of insanity. Right? They even have a Messiah. Their leader that they believe has ascended into heaven and is going to come back. According to Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who is the prophet and the immortal rabbi of the Jewish cult Chabad-Lubavitch, they've claimed that Jews have triumphed over God, that they're like God. Does that sound familiar to you? Remember what is going on in the world. From the Epstein files and the most insane satanic destruction of innocence and lives to what's going on in the Middle East right now. This claim that they are like God. Does that sound familiar? Garden of Eden, maybe? If they eat fruit from the tree, they'll become like us, right? These same people built the Tower of Babel to try and ascend to the level of God that way. And now these crazy-ass Zionists, folks, believe they have ascended higher than the Almighty, ascended beyond and above, and defeated him, literally defeated God himself. I mean, isn't that what the fallen said? I will be like the Most High. And then he and his angels were cast from heaven. So today's Zionist Jews place themselves into that biblical narrative, that historical claim that they're taking the same place as Satan, claiming they've defeated God and are like him, and even are superior to the Creator. Yes, they are that insane, folks. Right? And Tucker Carlson has come out and he's pointing to them as a group, and he's revealing what they believe. And I got to tell you, folks, It's going to get ugly. They're literally threatening Tucker now. He's going to end up getting Charlie Kirk. He's going to end up getting JFK'd. And who's going to come to his rescue? Who's going to come to our rescue? Only us. Only us, folks. There's no voting our way out of this. There's no voting our way to freedom. There's no decency in Washington, D.C. It is now the uniparty, and it's here 100%, and they don't care that we now know they're the uniparty. Right? With a very few exceptions, everyone and everything in Washington, D.C. is submissive to this cult, is completely corrupt and paid for and controlled. And Nancy Mace, she has confirmed that Republicans have teamed up with Democrats to kill her subpoena on Ilhan Omar's immigration fraud records. And this is what she said. That's Congress for you, because both sides protect the other. Yeah, Ilhan Omar, an anti-American, anti-Christian, treasonous piece of lying shit. Ilhan Omar married her brother, committed fraud, says she represents Somalia in our government. Not Americans, but Somalia. And Republicans have joined Democrats to say, no, we don't want to look at Ilhan Omar's fraud. And I say this, folks, prepare. And you are food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Got to tell you, folks, I got to tell you, it is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Prepare now, folks. The violence is coming. Congress now represents evil at its core. It represents communism, socialism. It represents foreign nations. It represents Israel at its core. That's who controls the fucking show, folks. Now it is the Friday free-for-all. We're going to do some shotgun approach. Get your comments and questions in to the section down below, and I'll get you on the board. I'll make you famous. Not that you need to be famous, I'm sure. But here we go. Diving Frog says, John, the USS Abraham Lincoln was hit by missiles today. I don't know how much damage it is, but it's not good. I've heard the same thing. I read the same thing. I also read U.S. officials claiming it's a lie. I've seen pictures. I've seen video. I don't know which ones are real, which ones are AI, if any of them are real, or if they're all artificial intelligence. But we're getting reports and conflicting reports. They're not wanting to show what's going on, folks. They don't want to show you how bad Tel Aviv, Israel has been hit. They want to lie and pretend like they've done a great job. And if you go over to Israel and you take pictures or video or broadcast, you'll be locked up, if not killed, for showing how badly they're being fucked up. People are being arrested and pulled off the streets. You bet. They're being arrested and pulled off the streets. You're not allowed to criticize Israel. You're not allowed to show their weakness. You're not allowed. After all, you know, they are gods. They're better than God. They're bigger than God. They're more important than God. But for some reason, they need to flee their country when they start a fucking pissing match. The whole world sees it, folks. The whole world knows. And by the way, yes, the USS Abraham Lincoln has been allegedly hit, and it has had to pull out. In other words, get away from the action. But, you know, it's not just the United States of America that's been hit, folks. Arab nations are pissed off. When I say Arabs, I'm not talking about the Iranians. They're not Arabs. They're Persians. And I'm not talking about Israel. They're not Arabs. There's something else. Arab nations are pissed off. He has made more fucking enemies around the world by sucking up to the Israeli bullshit, and we have all been lied to. We've been lied to. Oh, this show is going to... It's going to blow you away. Thank you, Diving Frog, for that. Anything you guys want to talk about, get on the board. Okay, I've got a good one coming up from Nikki. But first, I want to tell you about these Arab nations. A prominent United Arab Emirates billionaire. His name is Khalaf Ahmed Al Habtour. I did pretty good on that one. He just published a letter to Trump, and he's made it available. Wow. He made it available for the public. It's a letter he wrote to Trump, and he asked this question. That's a hell of a good question. Here it is, quote, "Who gave you the authority to drag our region into a war with Iran? Who gave you permission to turn our region into a battlefield?" So Al-Habtour is a major figure in the Middle East, in the Arab world, a billionaire, a former diplomat, an outspoken political voice in the Arab world. And when he talks, government leadership in the UAE and probably the rest of the Middle East, listen, who gave you the authority to drag our region into war with Iran? In other words, we've heard about all of these other countries getting hit with drones and missiles and bombs. So you've got, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, there's Kuwait. There's all these countries there that have American bases, and the bases are getting smashed by Iran, and also refineries, infrastructure, airports. They're getting hit, and they're like, we didn't do any of this. You guys, the United States, Trump. And folks, I do not have Trump derangement syndrome. I have logical look at the fucking facts and talk about it syndrome. Okay. You guys know I've tried supporting this guy and everyone, and they just keep showing us what fuckheads they are. Anyways, we've got American air bases, and they're supposed to be protecting these countries, and they are not successfully doing it. Why? Because you can't successfully protect anyone or anything from hypersonic missiles. Can't be done. But Israel wanted a war with Iran. Netanyahu has said for 40 years he's wanted this war, and he finally got it. Nice quote, dickhead. So Israel, way over on the Mediterranean, is causing Arab nations to get fucking hammered in this melee back and forth. And there's plenty of evidence, plenty of arrests, plenty of confessions that the Israelis are the ones bombing many of these Arab sites. So, who gave Trump permission to turn the Middle East into a battlefield? It's a legitimate fucking question, right? So, these are his questions. Was this your decision or Netanyahu's pressure? Well, we've gotten both fucking answers from Trump and Marco Rubio. Well, Iran struck first, and so we felt we had to strike Iran because they were going to strike us and strike back anyways. And then it was, no. We knew that Iran was going to get struck by, we knew Israel was going to get hit by Iran, so we attacked Iran first. What fucking story is it? So then the next question from this billionaire is, did you calculate collateral damage before firing? In other words, did any of your fucking plans figure out how many Arab nations were going to get fucking smashed, attacked, and hit through missile attacks? Do you even figure that out? He next makes the statement, you placed GCC countries at the heart of danger they didn't choose. So the GCC countries is the Middle East. OPEC countries, right? Basically, that's just a huge accusation, right? You've got Iran up here, and then you've got around it, all the other Arab nations, and then on the other side of that, you have the U.S. bases, and then Israel is way on the other side. So, yeah, they're in the fucking danger zone. Missiles are flying over the top of their countries, into their countries. Anyways, let me continue. He says, the Arab billionaire says, your Board of Peace initiatives were funded by the Gulf states, the GCC. Now we're getting attacked. Where did that money go? Oh, yeah, that's right. I haven't talked about this. The Board of Peace is owned by Trump. It's not anything real in the sense that it's the American government. It's a private consortium of people who are supposed to be working for peace. And they had a bunch of money donated to them. And now, he continues, you promised no wars. You've conducted operations in 7 countries, Somalia, Iraq, Yemen, Nigeria, Syria, Iran, Venezuela. And today he's promising now to go after fucking Cuba. Cuba promised it. And that's one promise I think he's going to be good for. There's another figure. 658 airstrikes in your first year back in office. Biden's entire term, which you criticized. Right? War costs $40 to $65 billion for operations, possibly $210 billion. He says your approval ratings down 9% in 400 days. Americans were promised peace. They're getting war funded by their taxes. Very true. Now, this is a massive, massive bitch slap by Al-Habtour to Trump. Quote, before the ink has dried on your Board of Peace initiative, we find ourselves facing military escalation that endangers the entire region. So where did those initiatives go? The Board of Peace initiatives. These are fair fucking questions. Right. The United Arab Emirates and their leadership are now publicly questioning Trump's decisions. And they're saying America's closest Arab allies are also saying, we didn't sign up for this. They're pissed off, folks. They're pissed the fuck off. All right, let's go with Nikki, who writes, speaking of how they're lying in regards to loss of life, etc. Interesting tidbit I saw today. In Kaiserslautern, a city in Germany close to where my mom comes from, it's U.S. military there. The U.S. military there, they called for blood donations. Also, other facility which deals with mostly combat injuries, surgeries, has suspended all orthopedic and other procedures to make room for an influx of emergencies. Well, it sounds like they are planning on sending everyone who gets fucked up. American soldiers, our brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. That's where they'll end up getting sent, huh? Yep, they want blood. Gee whiz. Nothing like going to a hospital and getting a bunch of contaminated mRNA vaccine blood jammed into your veins. Woo! Here's an interesting quote. Let's just get to this. Diving Frog. It says, talk to a friend who works at the Pentagon, and they said Iran has basically wiped out Israel's nuclear capabilities. Now, I need more clarification on this, Mr. Diving Frog. What I do know is that the Dimona nuclear power facility, it's a power facility that's been around since, well, before JFK was shot. I almost said before they shot JFK. Before JFK was shot. Yeah, Dimona's been there a long time. It's been hit, and hit. Now, I don't know if that's where their nuclear weapons are at. I think that would be a bad place to keep nuclear weapons, but, you know, good decision-making doesn't really seem to be something that these people are good at. Okay, let's see here. And people are talking about the gas prices. All right, if you would, comments in all caps, if you want it put on the board. And I'm going to continue now. Where do we want to go next? I want to tell you. I sure hope everyone's fully prepared. Does everyone realize how Trump has been pardoning criminals? The sons and friends of important people. And the presidents that we've had have even been pardoning convicted Israeli spies. Well, maybe Trump can pardon this guy that I'm going to tell you about and tell us that the religion and people of the Zionist cult are good people. Okay, I ran across this today and was sick to fucking death. An in-person video testimony coming from a young woman, she's probably in her 20s, who's complaining of ritual sexual abuse as an Israeli's daughter, an Israeli minister's daughter. Okay, I'm going to read this to you. This is how they treat their own fucking people. How do you think they're going to treat us? How do you think they are treating us? What do you think they do think of us if they'll do this to their own daughters? She says, I grew up in the Jewish settlement of Hebron. Starting from age 2.5, my parents took me to pedophile rituals in which I've been programmed, trained using drugs, hypnosis, and sexual abuse. When I was 13, my father started pimping me out in Tel Aviv, made money off my back. The abuse continued until a much older age. Her name is Shoshana Struk. She is the daughter of the Israeli settlement minister, Orit Struk. And she says her parents did long-term sexual abuse from her in her early childhood. Now, everyone, let's talk about settlements and Jewish settlers. See, they're not settlers. They're Israelis who want to go into Gaza and areas that are held by Palestinians. They call them settlers to make it sound like they're frontiersmen and pioneers, and they're settling wild lands. They're not settlers. What they do is they walk up to someone's house, tell them to get the fuck out, or they'll kill them. And they kick them out of their homes and off their farms. How interesting is that? They're not settlers, they're fucking thieves. And this guy, Orit Struk, is a settlement minister for the Israelis. So in other words, he tells his religious people, go do it. This is what we do. Anyways, this girl Shoshana has suffered from ritual abuse, drugging, and exploitation. How good is that, huh? Wow. Now, I recall when Hillary and the white suit jihad squad and feminists all said, believe her. We must believe her. Do you remember that? When any accusation by any woman was to be believed. But I guess that only applies when it suits them politically. And when your religion excuses horrifying crimes that I just read, as well as hearing and reading the Epstein files, are you surprised that they would even do this to their own daughter? Do you still find the Epstein files and all those claims to be fake or a hoax, as Trump says? Or do everybody that's hiding in Washington, D.C., do you think they all are more guilty than ever? Like, they probably didn't just commit a little bit of crime here and there and they're being controlled. They have probably all committed incredible, huge, filthy, amazing crimes. Okay, let's switch back. It is the Friday free-for-all. I will be here Sunday Night Live unless, of course, the entire northern part of Florida is bombed And I am expecting a false flag, folks. I'm expecting it. It's coming. Now, with regard to that whole blood thing, Rock Valley Ready says, been hearing several ads for our area for blood donations. Not sure if it's because it's what's going on or what they're planning or something coming our way. I often hear and see advertisements calling for people to donate their blood. But I got to tell you, that scares the living shit out of me. That this is possible and that people are going to get infected by other people. It's crazy business, folks. Absolutely crazy. Okay. And Rock Valley Ready is grab some extra freedom seeds. Good. We're going to be planting a lot of evil with those freedom seeds. Now, let's see. Where do I want to go next? And I know some people like him, but I've never liked Piers Morgan. Never liked him. Every now and then he says some really interesting shit, and that's what I'm going to do now. Like I said, anytime someone does something right, I'm going to give them some credit. I'm going to give them a kudos. I'm going to encourage that sort of thinking and behavior. You fuck up, criticize you, right? Piers Morgan has realized that now there's no media objectivity. There is only obedience to Israel and obedience to the hate that Zionists want out there. You just might enjoy this. Piers Morgan has written on Twitter, X. He says, I criticize all governments, especially my own. I just don't understand why I can't criticize Israel's government without being branded anti-Semitic or having the likes of Ben Shapiro throwing their petulant toys out of the stroller. It's absurd. Well, Piers is finally catching some heat, huh? He wants to actually talk about something. Well, Piers, I think that's how Charlie Kirk started. A little bit of criticism, a little bit of paying attention, a little bit of saying some things. Now Tucker Carlson is out on that same limb as Charlie Kirk, and now it sounds kind of like Piers Morgan might be on to something. Might be on to something. You're not allowed to criticize them. That's how you know who controls your country and your world, when you cannot criticize the people in charge. We know who's in charge now. Oh, the Piers versus... I invite anyone to go look at this debate between Piers and Ted Nugent. It is on YouTube. Piers Morgan and Ted Nugent. Ted is always very, very American. Now, I talked about the billionaire, the Arab billionaire, and the fallout from this is being discussed. Okay, the next move is not a pissed off billionaire, but money from the Arab nations in the Middle East is going to be pulled out of our stock markets. The following discussion is not mine, though I agree with the effect that this is happening. There's anger, there's resentment, and quite possibly total abandonment of the United States of America by the world, and Israel wins. Right? Because of the damage being done, because the refineries are being hit, that's their source of income over there. Right? Oil, gas. That's it. They're trying to make it a paradise. Hey, it's Uman checking in. Okay. They're trying to make their world in the Middle East better. It's basically a bunch of fucking desert, folks. It's a lot of sand and even more sand. Right? They're going to pull their money out of it. Why should they give their money to America to make America great again or make America wealthy again? They can take their investment dollars and invest in China or Japan or Russia, maybe even Iran. right? Remember what Netanyahu said, and I read it the other day. And by the way, Uman, you are missed. You're loved and missed. Anyways, I read Netanyahu's direct quotes, and now I'm going to paraphrase it. Israel sucks nations dry. That's what parasites do, my friends. And then he says, Israel cuts them into little pieces. Has our nation been cut into little pieces? Yeah, it's being divided and conquered, divided and conquered. Political parties, age groups, wealth groups, right? Everything. Religion, race, age, gender, sexuality, right? Cuts them dry and then cuts them into pieces. Leaves them a slave state, and then they move on to the next. It's what they do to nations they hate, said Netanyahu. They suck them dry, destroy them, and leave them as slaves. And Israel hates all white and all Western cultures. They hate them. They hate them. Period. Right? Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Qatar are all talking about pulling their money out of America. All of them at the same time. This is not me saying it. This is being pulled out of comments, articles, conversations, news broadcasts, etc. Billions of future U.S. investments are being canceled. The biggest oil economies on earth are walking away from the United States of America. They're doing it because of what has happened with this Iran attack. U.S. dollar, it's going to take a shit. But understand, folks, the other currencies around the world are also fiat currencies. Nothing backs them. So the reason people are still going to the dollar in times of uncertainty and fear, in times of war and economic doubt, they often go into the dollar or U.S. bonds. And bond rates are going up because, well, people aren't buying them. They're supposed to go buy them, but they're not. So then the bond rate goes up, the amount of money you get paid back as a percentage, right? Your annual percentage rate that you get back. So they're raising that, trying to lure people into buying them. But the dollar as being dominant, these countries are saying we don't want it. This is just the Middle East, folks, right? Within days, the prediction is the stock market is going to feel this. I think we've been fucking feeling it, have we not? About 1,200 points down yesterday on the Dow, and then it was only 800 at the end of the day. Today it was down about 800 or 900, and now it closed out right around 450. Oil prices are spiking and going up. Gas prices are following. Our groceries, our rent, our bills, anything attached to commodities is going to go up. So 4 of the richest nations on the planet, I just mentioned them by name, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. 4 of them, right, have said, we're done with your bullshit, America. It's not a trade dispute. This is a global financial shift that is in the process of happening, right? What would happen is we take our dollars and we buy oil from these countries, right? We've got the oil, and now they have U.S. dollars, bonds. They don't want you, right? So they take those bonds, those U.S. dollars, and then they invest them in our companies, our nation, our programs. They're not going to put their money and invest it back into America. So we're going to send dollars out if they'll take them and then not return them here. So again, our country is being sucked dry because of decisions Israel made about attacking Iran and forcing Trump. And I can't tell you how many fucking cartoons I've seen of him on all fours on a fucking leash being held by Netanyahu. Questions, comments, thoughts down below. It's the Friday free-for-all, folks, and it is going to be a fucking free-for-all. Pay attention, folks. Things are changing fast. Now, am I picking on Israel unnecessarily? Am I calling Chabad-Lubavitch a cult for some ridiculous reason? Let me give you this. This is going to light your shit up. Are you ready? United States Senator Kevin Cramer says that the United States of America, the government, our country has a biblical responsibility to Israel. So that's our fucking logic behind this war with Iran? There's a biblical responsibility to Israel? Israel was created by the Rothschilds in 1948. It is not the sons of Jacob who became known as Israel thousands of years ago. No, this is Israel, a country, a secular nation being run by a bunch of megalomaniacal fuckwads who think that they are better than God even. Whatever happened to separation of church and state? We as a nation cannot go to war over a religious belief. But Kevin Cramer, senator, says we have a biblical responsibility. Well, wait a minute then. Okay, maybe Christian Templars. Maybe we can start a fight and go to war based on our religious beliefs. Am I justified? Are we justified? Are the Templars? Are the Crusaders? Can we look to the enemies of Christ and just start slaughtering them and say, hey, it's a biblical imperative. It's a moral imperative because we believe something, right? Unfucking believable. The temerity, these fucking cultists, right? This is not me making this shit up, folks. What do you want to talk about? Right? I am actually pro-Semite. And I'm simultaneously anti-Satan. Just to clear up any confusion. I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm pro-Semite. If someone wants to claim I'm an anti-Semite, first off, I want them to prove to me that they have Semitic DNA before they can level an accusation against me. Anyways, an Israeli rabbi, not the leader of Chabad-Lubavitch. He's somewhere, I guess, in a UFO flying around with his God. An Israeli rabbi on video, folks, and there are tons of these videos of this guy and a bunch of them. An Israeli rabbi on video says to his chosen people, gathered to listen to his words of wisdom, this is what this motherfucker says. Quote, we start wars, then send our Christian slaves to clean our mess. You see why I want you to be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense? These fucking people think they can get wars started and then we have to go clean it up and fight it. And trust me when I say they don't give a fuck about us. They'll bomb somewhere else and make us go to war for them. Iran, for example. Or they'll bomb us here in this country. Folks, we can get bombed by Iran. We can get bombed by illegal terrorists that are here. Oh, we're going to talk about that in a fucking minute. We could be bombed by Israel. We could be bombed by the CIA and Mossad and made to look like a domestic terror mess. And we, the Christian slaves, get to deal with it. The Talmud is their belief system, folks. Go read it. These Talmudic Zionist Jews, Chabad-Lubavitch, say we have animal souls and that we're no good. Unlike Jews, whose God is Baal and Moloch, they have blessed souls, holy souls. They believe they're not held accountable to anybody in the world. They're not held accountable by the United Nations, by any other nations, by the United States of America, by Europe. Nobody can control them. They don't have to submit to the rules of war or any treaties. They can do whatever the fuck they want, is what they say and believe, And that's kind of how they act. You want evidence of it? They have nuclear weapons and refuse to let the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, go inspect their facilities. Right? These people say these crazy fucking things. We start wars, then send Christian slaves to clean our mess. This information and videos like this are available on the internet everywhere. They don't hide it. But I will warn you, they don't hide it, but they will call you anti-Semitic if you find what they say and then you share it with anyone else. So you're an anti-Semite for noticing. Well, sorry, motherfuckers. I'm pro-Semite. I just don't see a bunch of Semitic people in charge. I see a bunch of imposters, a bunch of charlatans, a bunch of fakes. You want to talk about a fucking hoax? Talk about the Holocaust? You want a fucking hoax? Talk about how many people died? You want a fucking hoax? Talk about who these people are. They are not the original Israelites. They are a group of people that migrated up out of the Khazarian Empire into Eastern and Northern Europe over the last, 1,000 years. They adopted Judaism as their belief system and continue to, use these non-biblical teachings, the Talmud, to excuse and empower themselves to do whatever the fuck they want. Now, good question here from Diving Frog. John, why are fuel prices going up because of supposed shortages that aren't real? The fuel trucks are full here. Any excuse to fuck us out of money, further causing strife. Yes, but we have basic... we're going to get to this one in a second here. We have basic economic principles at work. Number one, Biden sold all of our strategic oil. Who did he sell it to? Didn't he fucking sell it to Japan or something? He sold it to somebody cheap when it was at its lowest point. And guess what they never did? According to the source I read, they never refilled the strategic national oil reserves. Number two, yes, right now, the fuel tanks at gas stations are full. The delivery trucks are full. The tanks at the refineries are full. There's oil tankers pumping their oil, their raw crude, from ships into our refineries. They love to raise the price as soon as anything bad happens anywhere because, it could cause a shortage down the road that could cause us to have less fuel down the road. So we've got to raise our price now because we're going to have to pay more down the road, maybe. So we're going to fuck you with higher fuel prices because the cost to replace the oil that we have and the fuel that we have is going to go up. Now, under normal circumstances, I agree that's complete and absolute total horseshit. Because we've never, not since the 70s, had a shortage of oil being delivered here. Never had a shortage. A serious shortage. And that shortage in the 70s was caused by OPEC, the oil-producing exporting countries, OPEC, which is a cartel or a group of nations that decide they're going to set the price of oil. You either pay the price and they all stay on the same price, or you get nothing. Now, this is the one case. The Strait of Hormuz is shut. Only Chinese ships are being allowed through safely. And Lloyd's of London, the world's largest and oldest insurance company that insures seagoing vessels, is either raised their rates for anyone wanting to go through there, or they've just fucking cut them off altogether and said, you take that ship in there, we're not guaranteeing or insuring the cargo or your ship. You get sunk, don't come to us, fuck off. Because they know right now, You got the Yemenis and the fucking Houthis and the Somalis, as well as Iran on the other side, and they're shooting shit up. So yeah, they're fucking us over on oil prices, but they always do that when a war comes. In this case, though, we very well could see actual shortages coming here very quick. It won't take long, folks. We get millions and millions and millions of barrels of oil a day. Millions and millions and millions of barrels of oil a day. If that is cut in half, cut in 3/4 out, whatever. All right, we got somebody that agrees with me. The Talmud is not God's word. No, it is not. Thank you, Courageous Cat. The Talmud, which is the holy book of the Talmudic Zionist Jews and the Chabad-Lubavitch, it is not God's word. They say that their rabbis look at the Torah, the old books in the Bible, and they interpret it. They take those sayings and thoughts, and they bring them all the way up to 2026. Well, first they bring them all the way up to 500 BC, then the time of Christ, and then shortly after the time of Christ, where the rabbis decided, wow, Jesus is dead, and he's in a pot of feces and semen boiling in hell. Yeah, that's their holy book. It's not the word of God, no. And they continue to this day to interpret Old Testament scriptures through their Talmudic mindset of superiority and godlike qualities. And they continue to interpret them and apply them in today's world. Not God's word. It's about Jewish supremacy. Yep, not God's word. Definitely not. They are the synagogue of Satan. Yes, they are. All right. Now, you got some time left here. Diving Frog with back to the concept and discussion of oil. I thought we were supposed to be the Saudi Arabia of North America. What happened to that shit? I'll tell you exactly what happened to that shit. We produce an awful lot of oil in the United States of America. Natural gas, you betcha. Liquid natural gas, you betcha. We have oil reserves under Texas, under Alaska, under the rest of the country that are amazing and huge. You know what that oil has done? You know what they do with it? Well, part of it is reserve, a strategic national reserve in the ground. But what is pumped out of the ground here in America? What comes up out of the ground? Oil. What happens to it? Why aren't we using our own fucking oil? I'll tell you why. We have a deal as the United States of America. We supply the Middle East with protection, right? These bases in these Middle Eastern countries, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, we are supposed to provide them protection, and they give us oil from there at a very good discounted rate. We pay less for oil than the rest of the world because of our arrangement and our protection. You know how the mafia says, give us your stuff and we'll protect you. Well, they're kind of fucking pissed now because they're not being protected. They're being abandoned. Missile systems are destroyed and they're not working. The military is not in great shape in its efforts to fight Iran. In fact, Israel is demanding we send our missiles and our defense systems to Tel Aviv. What do you think Trump's going to do? Who do you think he's going to please? Who do you think he's serving? Trump and the entire United States government and bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., including all the fucking blood-sucking, parasitic piece of shit lawyers. They're going to do as they're told. Now, so what happened to that oil of ours? Any oil that we get in America, we sell to other nations. No, I use the word we. Sorry. Private corporations that are pumping oil out of the ground in America, put them on their ships, and send it to other countries where they sell it for a massive profit on the world market, while America gets cheap oil from the Middle East. So if the cheap oil from the Middle East doesn't come this way, or they say, you know what, fuck it, we're not going to give you the cheap price anymore. Either way, we're going to be paying more money for oil, whether we burn theirs or we burn our own. There you go. Great topic. Always fun to talk about. Okay. Didn't Trump say that the Mexicans that are here illegally, the ones that are operating drug cartels and human trafficking cartels, aren't those illegal Mexicans from there? Didn't Trump call them bad hombres? Remember that? Oh, we got a bunch of bad hombres down there. We got to shut the border. But these drug running cartels, they're still in charge of Mexico. They're still kidnapping and raping women and children. They're still selling slaves and sex slaves. There's still a massive organized crime syndicate that now has millions of its members. There's multiple cartels, plus MS-13, plus Trens de Uruguay. They're all up here. They're all the millions of these motherfuckers that showed up, not with wives and families, except for the ones they drug along and sold along the way, right? But now, according to Trump, it's cool, man. Trump says these are good people. They're working here. They work hard in the farms and in businesses. They work cheap. That's important. They work cheap. We need to leave them alone. What about all these fucking cartel members and fucking terrorists? Trump doesn't want to do any more deportations. Unfucking believable. Bad hombres? Now they're bueno hombres. Funny, huh? Funny how that works. Treason. I am not the only one. You guys are not the only ones. What we need to do, all of us on this network and everywhere across America, we need to call Washington, D.C. and accuse them of being treasonous bastards. All of them, Republicans, Democrats, Trump, all Democrats, all Republicans, with a very few exceptions, folks. All of them have joined together. They have compromised themselves with corruption, theft, drugs, prostitutes, and pedophilia. They're all treasonous scum. They're drunk on power. And they will obey their Israeli masters, who themselves have now demonstrated that they follow satanic practices. The Iranians burn a statue they created of the god Baal, Moloch, to whom the Jews sacrificed children to. And God punished them for it. But they kept doing it anyway, and they're doing it again. They're still practicing these satanic fucking rites. They're drunk on power in Washington, and they're serving their masters who have paid for them, who have got them on film with pictures and videos performing the most vile fucking crimes. And Jesus has called these people out. The same people 2,000 years ago, he called them what? He called them what? He called them the synagogue of Satan. In the Bible, right there in the New Testament. It was no exaggeration. It was no exaggeration. Look at what they do to children they capture. Back then, they burned them alive. They sacrificed them. Today, they use them, dispose of them, sacrifice them. It's not a fucking conspiracy theory anymore. It's real, folks. Right? I never thought this show would go in this direction. because I didn't think these people would ever come out in the open and expose themselves. But they have. The mainstream media and the right-wing lying media are now joined together, lying to us all about everything, telling Americans that we kick ass against Iran and the world loves us, that everything is just fine, it's hunky-dory. And, well, the media has always lied to us, so why are we going to believe them now? Why would we trust them with anything? Understand, folks, where you get your information, right? Where we get your information, kind of important, huh? I mean, these people, let me give you just a fucking taste, another taste, right? Trump's picks are anti-freedom, pro-Israel, anti-free speech, period. Anti-free speech includes protesting, right? Trump's new Department of Homeland Security pick to replace Kristi Noem. This guy is named Mark Wayne Mullen. Do you know what he's done? Do you know who the fuck this guy is? We're going to be told by right-wing media that he's a great guy. This piece of shit both praised and hugged the cop who murdered Ashley Babbitt, who was at the time an unarmed protester. He's also an Air Force veteran. He praised him and hugged him. This is where we're at, folks. This is where we're at with these fucking people. What fuckery is this? Mark Wayne Mullen. Go hug the guy. Everyone remember his name? Put it in the comments. Put the Washington, D.C. jackass police, congressional fucking guy. Put him in there. Put his name out there. Get his name out there. I want to see if everyone's paying attention. All right. And now, our country is going to save the world. Federal prosecutors, they're not preparing to indict Epstein's clients. They're preparing to indict leaders of Cuba. The leaders of Cuba. Federal prosecutors have indicted 0 Epstein clients, 0 billionaires involved with Epstein, 0 billionaires involved in criminal drug money, laundering money, racketeering, fraud, corruption, bribery. No billionaires, 0 election fraud politicians, 0 corrupt judges, 0 money launderers, 0 traitors. But federal prosecutors are going to charge a sovereign nation's politicians with crimes that were committed not in the United States? Unfucking believable. Federal prosecutors, the Department of Justice is who they are. They're not going to do anything with Epstein, anything with his clients, anything with the complete scum. But don't worry, they're going to go after Cuban politicians. Unfucking believable. Russia, folks, is being accused of providing Iran with intelligence to help target U.S. troops and military assets in the war with Iran. Russia's being accused of that. Now, I don't want them to do that because I don't want Americans to get killed. But apart from that, can Russia be blamed? What? You might say? You mean Russia is doing for Iran the same thing the United States government did by supplying Ukraine with missiles and weapons and satellite surveillance and drones and intelligence reports, and on the American training CIA officers, satellite communications networks, everything that America did like that. Russia's doing something and we're supposed to believe Russia bad. When America did that to Russia, Russian military deaths wouldn't be as high as they are had the United States of America not offered all of that assistance. So Russia was attacked basically with American weapons and training and parts and technology and surveillance. Ukraine, at the behest of the United States government, which we now know is controlled by Israel, absolutely, through their Zionist network and their cult called Chabad-Lubavitch, right? That Russian deaths occurred because of that, because of Washington, D.C.'s decisions to obey their masters. And now our American sons and our American daughters in the military are going to die as a result of the treachery that has been performed by our government around the world at the behest of foreign nationals that control it. Yeah. Nikki says, unbelievable. Believe it, it's fucking real. This is the world we live in. It is not happy time. It's not happy time, folks. It's really a fucked up mess. Senator Jim Banks sent me an email. How nice of him. It's unbelievable, folks. I'm going to be back here Sunday Night Live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm expecting something nasty. I'm expecting some false flag attacks. It'll be blamed on Iran. It'll be blamed on Russia. It'll be blamed on China. It'll be blamed on someone other than the people that are actually responsible for it. Get prepared, folks. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. We're entering and engaging in World War III, and it could go hot at any time. It could go hot at any time. If Israel feels that they're losing this and they need to save face and they want to quit, they want to cease fire, and Iran's like, you know what? Fuck you. Gloves are off. You attacked us. You killed our leaders. Folks, and I'm not a lover of Iran. Now, I've met a lot of Persian people, and I think they're great people, very nice. But the people that run Iran, these radical wackos, I don't like them any more than I like any other radical wackos. What I don't like is a world war being started because some megalomaniac people that think they're bigger, better, badder, and more perfect than God Almighty, they want to start a fucking war, use us as their foot soldiers, their Christian slaves, and then when they start getting their fucking ass kicked, and believe me, Iran still has not used their top weapons. They haven't used up all their top weapons. If they feel like they're going to lose, Israel could end up setting off bombs around the world in all the countries that they claim they have planted them in. How do you like that shit? They tell us, folks, they tell us exactly who they are. They tell us what they believe. They tell us everything. And I think Nikki has an interesting comment, and I'm going to end the show with this. You don't have to be a lover of a particular population. You need only to be a moral human being. Decency applies to all of us regardless of beliefs. I think that's a very nice, an accurate statement. It's a kind statement, right? But when I look at the people that are fucking up this country, America, I see BLM, a bunch of transgender blacks ran that group. They're a bunch of violent thieves. They caused $4.5 billion in damage. I have no love for them. They have no love for us. Antifa is communist. They hate America. They hate us. They are not kind. There's no decency there. The LGBTQ pedophiles, trannies that have now decided they're going to take up arms and attack good, decent people, there's no decency there. You see, all these people that I point out that are the bad guys, it's because they say bad things and do bad things. Iran says death to America, but they haven't sent missiles into America. But if they're going to bomb America, folks, they're going to attack Washington, D.C., and they may attack New York. They may. Because they know that's where the bad guys are. They're bad guys to them. Charlotte, South Carolina, that's not the bad zone to Iran. Kansas City, even if they don't like the Chiefs and Mahomes, right? They're not the bad guys to the Iranians. If Iranians are going to attack America, death to America, they're going to go to the head of the snake, which is Washington, D.C. and New York City. If we're attacked anywhere else, you bet your ass it's somebody wanting us as Americans to all get very mad and support a ground war in Iran. Understand this. Right now, they're deploying American troops, Army and Marines. They packed their fucking sea bags. They've got their fucking Alice packs or whatever they have these days. And they're getting on fucking transports and they're heading to the Middle East. Why would you do that if we're not going to have a ground war? Or are they planning on having a false flag attack in America, blaming Iran, and our troops are already in position and in place to go into a ground war? You know what that'll be? That is going to be a huge sacrifice to their gods. Death of thousands and thousands of Christians. All right, guys, I'll see you Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. Who knows what the hell is going to happen this weekend?